Welcome to the Not Close Enough podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah, and today we have a very, very special episode. I got my boy Kenny here. What's up, Kenny?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Man, I'm doing good, man.
Good.
I can't wait just to dive in with you and to have this conversation. But before we get there, I want to make sure that you like, comment, share, subscribe, do all of that good stuff so that we can reach more people and help people take their next step in their relationship with Jesus, because that's what this podcast is all about. We talk about all different types of things, but we believe that close enough is not close enough when it comes to our relationship with Jesus. And so we're going to have a great conversation. I can't wait for it. And without further ado, here we go. All right, first thing, I already introduced him, but this is my boy Kenny. Let me know if I'm wrong. I try to write down as much as I could.
Sure.
So if I'm wrong, just let me know.
Easy.
Okay, so number one, you are a man of God.
Yes.
All right, show the people your shirt. No. It says faith, family, firearms, and freedom. We're going to be talking about all of those things.
Yeah, fishing would be in there, but yeah, here we go.
And so you are a husband.
Yes.
All right. I said first, man of God, you are a husband. You just had an anniversary, 11 years,
11
right?
years, that's it.
11
Yes.
years.
Yes.
Man, that's crazy. We're going to get into that too.
Okay.
You're a father of five?
Six.
Yes. Okay.
And a grandson.
And a grandson.
Yes,
You're a grandpa?
I am. My oldest, yeah, he's a Marine. He has a son, Asen. He's 3. Yeah.
Wow.
Born September 11th. Yeah.
That's where the grays are in. Okay. No, man, you a good looking grandpa,
I
man.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Come on.
Paw.
Papa. I like how this generation, we just totally threw out the word grandpa and grandma.
Just come up with your own thing.
I know. You are a veteran
I am.
in the military, in the Marine Corps?
Marine Corps, that's correct.
For over 20 years.
23.
20?
Little shy of 23 years.
Wow. Over 20 years.
Yes.
And you're retired from that.
That's correct.
Oh, wow. So you've been in the military for over 20 years, retired. And again, you're a man who loves God. And also, from knowing you and his shirt, you're a man that loves guns.
I do. That is not a secret. Yeah, so I'm also I'm a federal firearms license dealer, so I sell guns as well.
What do you call that exactly?
What?
Like, is it called an arms dealer or?
Yeah, so if you have an FFL, which is a federal firearms license, you can sell, manufacture, firearms. So I'm a gun dealer.
Yeah.
Arms dealer.
Yes. And he sold me my first gun.
Yes.
Okay. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be careful with this. It's right here. All right. Some of y'all probably freaking out right now. I thought this was a podcast for Christians. Why is he showing me a firearm?
Right.
We'll get to that in a second.
Exactly.
All right. So without further ado, I actually want to go more into that. Like, what made you, all right, you're out of the military.
Right.
And you're like, okay, what do I do now? What got you into this space?
So honestly, like I said, being in the military over 20 years, I've been around firearms my whole life, my whole adult life. I've been carrying the whole time I've been in the military, which becomes part of you, kind of, and when I retired, I was like, I want to open a gun range is what I want to do. But looking at the price and what it took to start a range, it's pricey. So I was like, you know what, let me just get into this space gradually. And I was like, I'll just start a gun store, Lead Therapy. The name just came to me. And my wife and I, we both, we own the gun store and we sell guns.
That's awesome.
It's not a brick and mortar store yet. So we sell online, we sell in person, but we don't actually have a brick and mortar store yet. But, my love of firearms and my extensive collection and, that's just who I am.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Do me a favor. Bring the mic just a little bit more. A little bit more. All right.
Usually I project.
Yeah, hey, it's probably still going to get there. I'm seeing the sound waves right now. But actually, because there is some controversy on Christians and guns. Actually, I had a comment before, and he was saying something like, Jesus wasn't for the Second Amendment, and I'm like, first of all, the Second Amendment didn't exist, bro. But he was just saying like, and then I've heard Christians saying like, yo, man, if you get robbed and you shouldn't have that, you should just trust in the Lord and all of these things, and I'm not downing those people who believe in that, but I do have a problem with when they try to say, hey, this is my conviction and everyone should have this
Right.
conviction. So I actually have a question for you.
Okay.
All right. We're going to start off hot.
Oh, let's
All right.
go. Let's go.
So I wrote down this scripture because I believe this scripture gets taken out of context.
Right.
But I want to read it because this is what people bring up when Christians own guns.
Okay.
Right. So it says
I think
this.
I know where you're going.
You
but-
think? Okay. All right. Here we go. In Matthew 26, verse 52, it says this: "Put your sword back in its place," Jesus said to him, "and all who use the sword will die by the sword." This version is sometimes used against people who have guns. I mean, we go all the way, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword, which
Right.
translate to Tupac, who says, if you live by the gun, you die by the gun. So how would you respond to that question?
So, right, people use the Bible a lot of times to fit their narrative. A lot of times, which is unfortunate. But I think this is a personal conviction. This is a personal choice. If you want to look at the scriptures, and I'm not a Bible theologian by any means, but one thing he said in that verse was Jesus said, "Put it back in your sheath."
Come on.
He didn't say get rid of it. He said put it up.
I love that.
So, and now let's
it.
think about this. You've been rolling with Jesus your whole time here. The disciples, they're with Jesus, and they're still carrying swords. And if you look in a certain verse, maybe it's Luke's, don't quote me, but he said, if you don't have a purse, sell it. Sell your cloak and get a sword. And the disciple said, we have two. He said, that's enough. Ooh. So we got to think about that. Like, it's not that Jesus was saying, like, don't have a sword. Like, he was saying don't use it now. Because in John, I think 18:8, it speaks of, he's like, who are you coming for? You came for me. So he's saying, put your sword away because I don't want you to get wrapped up in this. It's like me and you, if we were rolling now, right? And you're rolling in the car with me, and I know I got a warrant, right?
Uh-oh.
I get pulled over, and then you're like, nah, they not taking you. You my homeboy. And you start pulling out. I'm like, put that back, man. You about to get smoked. You know what I mean?
You live by more time.
They're coming for me. So that's what Jesus was telling them. Like they're coming for me. So, and I already had to come here to do this. So just put that away because live by the sword, die by the sword is an idiom. Like what goes around comes around. You know what I mean? If you live by forceful, violent means, you live by evil means, that's what you're going to succumb to. It would be like an alcoholic that drinks too much and he may die or succumb to that thing. So having a firearm doesn't mean we're using it. Like I'm just pulling it out any old time for any old reason. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
It stays in a sheath. Like Jesus said, put it away.
I like that. I think the word meekness, because we're
Right.
called to be meek.
Right.
There's this picture of a warrior with a huge sword.
Right.
But he chooses not to pull it out every single time, right?
Right.
Obviously, there's a time and place to pull it out. And when I
Yes.
actually read that verse, it says, those who live by the sword. Live.
Right.
So let's translate that to Tupac Bible. All right. If you live for the gun, you die.
Right.
You live by the gun, you die by the gun.
Right.
So if your life is centered around
Right.
The sword or the guns, I think that's where the problem, I think that's the heart of the issue where Jesus was saying like, hey, don't trust that
Exactly.
with your life. Meaning, like, of course, you want to have a gun to protect your life, but don't always rely on that. I want you to rely on me. for your life.
Absolutely.
And that's what I get when I read that verse is like, oh, I'm living for this.
Absolutely.
Right? It's like I used to have those friends back in the day, like, man, I'm living for that.
Right. Looking for it.
Like they looking for it.
And you'll find it.
And they
Yep.
find it. Unfortunately, I lost a couple friends with that.
Right.
And I'll never forget the first person that I ever knew had a gun was my friend. He was always the oldest. We were like 15, 16. He was 18. And he would always show us his gun. But here's the thing, and this is what the whole conversation is. He was schizophrenic.
Oh, okay.
And he took medicine, but sometimes he wouldn't. And he would have episodes. And this is what's crazy about it is that, not only that, he was selling drugs. And I guess he got into it with one of my other friends. I saw both of them that day. And at the end of that day, both of their lives changed forever. a friend of mine went to the friend who had the gun, went to his house, got in an argument, and he shot him. And then the neighbors call us, and we run down the street, and my friend is bleeding out, and he's dead right in front of us. And we look up, we're right in front of my friend's house who owns the gun.
Right.
And then we see him get arrested. I had to go to court for that and testify, which was crazy. I was scared out of my mind. And he got like 30 years. A little bit of good news is that I hear from the last time I heard he actually gave his life to Jesus, which is really cool.
Awesome.
Really cool. And I think I was one of my friends to actually visit him and write him saying that I forgave him, which was a really hard thing. That's after I became a Christian, but that was some years down the line. But you look at that problem and we hear about gun safety.
Right.
We hear about, people want to take away guns and all of these things, right? And I know how I'm coming from. Like, it may seem like, oh, man, that's a good idea. I just think, to be honest with you, I'm not even really sure. Because it wasn't like a big gun. It was a pistol. Right? How do you test for mental illness and like, how do we understand, like, hey, you are in the right mind to own a gun or not? Like, do you think there needs to be a mental health test?
That's now we're diving into something that's a little harder, but like, to be completely open, out of the Marine Corps, I'm labeled to have PTSD. Should I be carrying a firearm? So, like, I'm not schizophrenic. I'm not this, that, or the third. But when we're starting to talk about mental health, that goes into a deep discussion. Now, I think those that are close to you, like if I know you're my son, my brother, my whatever, and I know you have schizophrenia, you have some type of psychotic episodes, then someone should be in your life helping and making sure this person doesn't get a gun, whether legally or illegally or whatever. But testing for it, I don't know how we would actually. I don't know either. And to the level of the mental illness, because that's a big spectrum.
I was just about to say that's a big spectrum.
My spectrum.
Yeah, that's tough because that's what you hear a lot on the news.
Right.
Is like, okay, like, because I understand why people feel that.
Right.
How they feel, but at the same time, I heard one of the best arguments the other day.
What's that?
There was this lady. I think she was Asian descent. I don't know if she was Filipino or Chinese. But she went to a meeting, like a Congress meeting or some type of meeting.
Right.
And they were trying to take away rifles and certain stuff. Like they want to go down that path.
Right.
And so she was just like, can you 100% tell me that our government will never be tyrannical? And he was like, I can never promise you that.
Can't promise you.
And you know what she said? She was like, well, that's the end of the gun debate.
That's it. Because that is the reason we have it.
Yeah.
It's against a tyrannical government.
Yes.
That's what the Second Amendment was about. And obviously, the firearms at the time, whether it's a musket,
Yeah, I've heard that.
But so I'm not even going to get into that debate, but.
Why not? No, but I've heard that too. Like, they didn't have these type of guns.
That wasn't the time, right? Just like we talked about Jesus, they had a sword at the time, but that's what it was at the time. So this is what it is. Am I for somebody mounting a 50 cal in their vehicle? No, but you know what I mean? Like, if you live in an area out in the woods and you have a need for that and that's what you want to do, I don't want to be the one to say you can't.
Yeah.
Is my thing. That's not my place, Well,
that's good because, and I say all of that to really bring up this because this is a really important issue. I think everyone needs to have this conversation if you want to own a gun.
Right.
What is gun safety? I remember I bought my gun from you and you walked me through some stuff.
Just
is that right? If you could,
yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, being in the Marine Corps for the amount of time I was, safety is paramount. Every Marine on this planet knows we preach safety. Everybody in the military, for that matter. But I'm just speaking on what I know. So, Marines, safety is paramount, right? So, being a gun owner is more than just I buy a gun, I get one box of ammo, shoot one time, and that's it. You have to train. You have to be safe. You have to know safety. So like the ditty I gave you was treat, never keep, right? I'm sure I gave you that.
Yeah.
Marines always say you treat every weapon as if it's loaded. So if you handed me that gun right now, even if you cleared it and I saw you clear it, I'm still going to clear it because I'm going to look in that chamber. I'm going to visibly inspect. There's no round in that chamber, you know?
Yeah.
And so you treat every weapon as if it's loaded when you get it. You never point a weapon at anything you don't intend to shoot. So I would never, like, we call it flag, and I'm not going to point a gun at you, even if I'm trying to show you something and I know it's clear. Just by my nature, I'm not going to point a gun your way. If I don't intend to kill something, I'm not pointing a firearm at it. You keep your finger straight and off the trigger until you're ready to fire, and you keep your weapon on safe till you tend to fire. So most of my firearms don't have a safety, so 4 doesn't apply to me, but this is my safety right here, my trigger finger. So I don't put my finger on that trigger unless I'm going to squeeze it. So those are just hip pocket safety rules, but it goes deeper than that. It's like safety. Well, I don't want to get into any of your further questions, but just knowing the weapon that you have, if you buy a revolver, knowing the operation of that revolver, or a shotgun, or an AR, or, you know, knowing exactly what you have, what the tool is you have, how to use it, how to safely clear it, how to safely store it, is very important, because someone could lose their life, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, I think, you know, what's interesting is, like, it's a tool. It's a tool. 100%. And that's another word for weapon, that's right? It really is. And I think, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Can I be honest with you?
Please.
I've been to the gun range one time. I've cleared out my. he was saying, man, that person had been to the gun range one time. I'm like, crap, that's me. That's you. But at least I have been clearing out the bullets and reloading them, getting the springs. But I gotta go more, man. Yes. I have to get in the shooting range more. You got to take me.
Yeah, 100%. We'll do that. Man. It's training, because that's what's gonna kick in when it's go time, you know, because if you don't know how that thing works and you don't using it often, and then you have to, you're going to do exactly what you normally do. You're going to fumble around, but if you train, that when everything goes tunnel and the tickets are sold and the show is on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to know what you're doing. So
that's so good. I remember there's one thing I want to talk about this before we move on, because I think it is important, because there are a lot of gun owners.
Oh yeah.
All right.
We're in Florida.
Yeah. And you told me to do this. I still haven't done it yet, which is another reason why I want to talk about it here. Is you said something about, like, gun insurance, or like, what is that? Why is it important to get that?
So this is going to be controversial in your comments, because some people are going to be, but I'm just going to be honest. I was in California when I retired. And I have a concealed weapon license from California. I am a unicorn. But yeah, so I have a concealed weapons license from California. So out there, this isn't Florida. So even if it's a justified shooting, that prosecutor is going to try to prosecute you. So out there, I got gun insurance just so I could have, you know, some lawyers in my corner, some funding in my corner when they try to drain me dry in court. If that happened, you know, that's why I got gun insurance. Some people are going to say, oh, we've had bad reviews, or bad, what's the word? They had to use it. It didn't work well for them. But it's depending on the situation. Yeah. It's not for you going out there to start something, because they're not going to defend you. Yeah. This is for if you have a justified shooting. And I won't say who I use, because there's multiple companies and no one's paying me. So, you know, but I do have shooter's insurance for that reason. I got it when I was in California, and I still have it.
Yeah, I need to get that. Yeah, I do.
And the way it will work is if justified shooting happens, call the police and you say, tell them your description, what happened. The next people you should call is your insurance and say, hey, this is what happened. They'll send a lawyer. You don't say anything. You plead that Fifth Amendment, because that's what it's there for. You know, if you roll with the second, you roll with the fifth. So, yeah. So, because anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. So.
Now, this is important, okay? Because I think a lot of people don't know these things, because I was asking you. All right, so a concealed license is you having a license and you can have it on you at all times as long as it's concealed.
That's correct.
Right? But did Florida change that?
Yes. So I'm from Virginia. Virginia has open carry and concealed. So you can carry outside of your clothes without a license in Virginia. You can go in Walmart with one like you're the cops. Wow. And it's no problem. A lot of states have open carry. Florida doesn't have open carry, only unless you're fishing, hunting, or
camping.
Or camping. You can. So you have to conceal. Concealed means it's not visible to anyone. And it shouldn't be. That's your right to do. If you're in the car, it doesn't have to be on the seat visible. It can be concealed. So last July, I believe, the law changed where it's constitutional carry here. That just means you don't have to get a concealed weapons license. You can buy a gun, put said gun in your pants and conceal it without a license. Now, the reason I tell people it's still good to get one is many reasons, but I'll just give you a quick couple, is reciprocity. So other states recognize Florida's license. So let's say you're in Georgia or you're somewhere else in the South or up the Eastern Seaboard, they recognize Florida's. But if you don't have one and you're just constitutionally carrying here, you can't go there and carry in another state.
Okay.
So I get one. I have a Florida license for reciprocity when I'm traversing other states. Another reason is, like I said, I try to do everything by the law in the event something bad happens, which I hope it never does.
Come on.
But if it did, I want to, hey, this guy, I am an NRA instructor. I didn't say that. I am an NRA instructor. You know, I have an FFL license. I have concealed weapons license from actual cards from Florida, Maryland, DC, California, which is no good because I don't live there anymore. And you have to live in the state. Florida, like I have these licenses. So I want to show the court, like I'm trying to be on the side of the law the best I can.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm about to take a trip to East Chicago and Indiana.
Okay.
So, and also to, man, I can never get the word. It's somewhere up there. But as long as I have the gun in a concealed place in the car, I should be fine.
Well, so that brings me to a question I know we talked about is what should a new gun owner do? First thing you should know is state and federal laws.
Okay.
Because I have an app on my phone. It's called CCW. And it'll show you every state that I'm going to. It'll show me their laws. It'll show me if I have reciprocity. It'll show me if I have duty to inform an officer if I get pulled over. And you might want to check that first because gun laws change like this.
Yeah.
My app updates every day.
I'm going to have to talk to you about that afterwards.
Absolutely. Yeah. I always travel with my gun because flying with one is super easy. I always fly with it. But you check your law where you're going.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, that's so smart. Check the law, guys.
Please.
Okay.
One quick thing can I say while we're talking to law? State laws are one thing, federal laws are another, right? So, and this is one that gets a lot of people. People will buy a AR pistol from me. You know the AR pistol. That's fine. But as soon as you modify that thing, you put a hard butt stock on it, you put a forward foregrip on it, that changes it into an SBR or short barrel rifle. You have to have a tax stamp for that. That's a federal offense if you don't. And it's just that simple because people think, oh, it looks cooler with this grip. It looks cooler with this buttstock. You just change that weapon into an SBR, which you would have to have a $200 tax stamp from the NFA, just like you would for a suppressor or a silencer. You have to.
I thought those were illegal.
No, I own.
Well,
no, they're not illegal.
if you need an assassin.
No, it's just that you have to pay for the tax stamp and do the right procedure for it.
So in Florida,
right?
I have a gun. I don't have a license or
CCW.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have a gun in the car. It's in the middle console. Right. I get pulled over by the cops.
Right.
All right. What should I do?
Take your ticket and go about your business.
Don't tell them nothing?
It's your business for a reason. If you want to bring that situation, I mean, so Florida doesn't have duty to inform an officer. So you don't have to say, hey, I have a gun on me, and if it's concealed, usually like I tell my wife, I get pulled over, it's for something I did. Like, you're speeding. All right, I'm gonna get my speeding ticket and go do what I got to do. There's no reason for me to start bringing other things because I'm not doing anything else illegal. I don't have... any square groupers in there.
I just want people to know this stuff, man.
Right,
And
right,
So all right. So I think people are like, okay, you guys talking a lot about guns and guns laws, and I thought this podcast was about getting closer to God.
Sorry.
No. I'm glad we're having this conversation. Right. This is a conversation I wanted to have. Why do you think, as a Christian, it's important to own a gun?
So. I'll speak for me, right? Because that's, once again, it's a personal choice. I don't know the scripture offhand. I want to say it's Matthew 5:45, something like that.
Okay.
Where he speaks of, you're a son of God. You're children of God. It rains on the just and the unjust.
Yes.
He said the sun's going to shine on the evil and the good, and it's going to rain on the just and the unjust. I'm not exempt from anything because I'm a Christian. Every day I walk down the street, now I know I have advocate with the Father. I know I can pray. I can, ask, and he will be there on my behalf. But the same way it rains on the just, it rains on the unjust. So I've read, I don't know how many different situations where churches have shootings. There was one in Texas. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
It was one in Tennessee not too long ago that a churchgoer went in, and I think he was on a security team, and he saw one of the churchgoers like in the hallway frantic, and he started clearing the church, and lo and behold, somebody was robbing the church.
Wow.
Like, just because we're Christians doesn't make us exempt from anything. Same reason I put my seatbelt on when I get on the freeway.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, Jesus is with me, I'm good. You know what I mean?
That's a good example.
It doesn't go like that. You
That's
know,
a good
so,
example.
but once again, it's not that I'm out there trying to save the world. I'm not out there trying to let people know I got a gun. I'm not trying to let people
You're not
know
the
I'm a
equalizer,
hero.
are you?
No, at all. I'm not. I got some guys out there that can shoot, man. Like, I mean, it's some shooters. I can shoot, but I'm not that great, and I'm not trying to save the world. I'm trying to get home. I'm trying to protect my family. So whether a Christian should or shouldn't, it's a personal conviction.
Yeah, that's good.
And I'll just say, I got two best friends. We've been friends over 25 years. Jay Miles and Dorenzo Watley. Watley, he's still in the Marine Corps, and he doesn't carry a gun. And he's a Christian, and he says it's because he doesn't have the discipline. And he knows that about himself. He's like, I don't want to get in a situation and pull it unjustly, like, because I'm upset.
Yeah.
So he knows himself. You know what I'm saying? And Jay, he carries like I do. And you just got to know.
You gotta know your limits.
You got to
too.
know your limits, man. Because somebody brushed up against you or called you a derogatory word in Walmart, that's not gun
If you
time.
a hothead,
No.
you probably shouldn't
Probably
own a gun.
shouldn't.
Probably shouldn't.
You probably
know,
shouldn't.
just like alcohol. Like, it's not a sin to drink, but like
getting-
if there's something you struggle with,
Right.
You know, stay away from
Right.
it. So I think it's the same, man. That's really good way of
Personal
seeing
conviction.
it. That's really good. I like that. One of the things I actually want to kind of get into, because we've been talking about guns and all that stuff, but you were in the military for what? Did you go to any wars?
Yes, twice.
How was that? And you don't have to get into detail, but like, how was that for you?
So the first time I went, actually, I left February. It was Valentine's Day of 2003. I went to Kuwait, and it was my first time. I was a Corporal E4. I'd been out of the country, but never to a war zone before. So I was nervous, like what's going on. And I'm by far, I'll let you know, I'm calm. I'm a cybersecurity guy. So I'm not in the lead slinger. I'm not there on the front line slinging iron like that. But when you go into a combat zone and you land into that country, anything can go, So, you're riding through, they're shutting, the windows, the curtains on the windows as you're going to wherever you're going. And it's an eerie feeling. The second time I went, I kind of had already went before. So when I'm in Iraq, the second time, it's more of, all right, you kind of know what to expect. You're less on guard, but you're still, you're more seasoned at this point. Yeah. But it was no situation where I had to actually get out there getting busy. So I didn't, I don't even come up with war stories like that, I'll be honest.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing, man. Like, I think so many times we kind of dramatize it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a horrible thing no matter what, how you look at it. But at the same time, like, first of all, I don't think I even said this, but thank you for serving.
Oh, 100%.
Like, I really appreciate that. And you said that you struggle with PTSD.
So, yeah, and mine is, okay, and I'll be open and honest. My best friend drowned in my arms in Okinawa. I was trying to save him, and I could not. He died, and
I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was kind of, so that's the trauma. Trauma comes in however it comes. And then I did have a situation in Iraq where I had to give blood to a guy who had got his legs blown off. But, seeing certain things that you see, the traumas come how they come, right? And they affect us how they affect us.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
It was a while I couldn't do water things, or especially around family, because I was feeling if something happened and I'm with my family, can I save them? I couldn't save him. Like, do one person come out or do nobody come out? So
I want to get into, how does your faith with God and faith with Jesus help you with that?
So it helps a lot now, because before I used to struggle with things of thinking like with morality, right? Like with my life. But now that I know whose I am, I don't really worry too much anymore, So because, like if you're hurting or you have some type of mental illness, physical illness or whatever, one of two things is going to happen. God's going to take it from you or take you from it. Ooh. Either way, you're good.
That's good.
It's just hard for us in the natural to be okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Right. Like, I actually want to get into that of like, because, in the military, you come home, and I guess the shorter version of like, what made you finally decide, like, Jesus, like, I want you as my Lord, my Savior? What was it that switched you over?
So I had literally been in church my whole life. Like growing up, my mom had us in church.
Same here, bro.
So going in the military at 17, it's in you. It's in you. You fight it. You do your things. You go all across this planet and do God knows what. But but he saved me. But it finally got to this point when I retired and I got here. And I was just like, all right, I'm done with that. Like, that is not me anymore. And it finally just hit me. Even after I retired, and I'll be open and honest with you, anybody who knows me intimately, my friends, whatever, they know I drink. I'm a Marine. That's what we do. Like, we were founded in a bar. People that don't know, the Marine Corps was founded in a bar. But
I had no idea.
Yeah, Ton Tavern, 1775. But we were founded in a bar. Marines drink. That's what we do. And it's for your kids having a birthday party. Cool, let's party. You got your wisdom teeth pool. Cool, let's go party. So drinking was a thing that I did. And then when I retired, I'm like, dude, I'm still doing this. And then I got to this point where I'm just like, I'm done. And it actually started from a weight loss challenge. And I know we're supposed to be talking about guns, but
No, it is everywhere.
So, the guys, some of my friends from Cali that were ex-Marines were like, let's do a weight loss challenge. I'm like, cool, let's do it. Let's see who wins. And we started 30 days. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna stop drinking for 30 because I know how to drop weight quick. But then 30 came and I'm like, well, let me go 60. And then I'm like, I'm done. I don't think I want to do that anymore. And I know that was God telling me, like, you really don't need to do that anymore. And I stopped. You know what I mean? And that's that.
Wow.
And now my wife and I, and thank God for my wife. Ooh. So Megan, my wife, she's my everything. She has my back and she definitely supports everything I do. And seeing me grow, I see her grow. And we just got deeper.
Man, praise God. Yeah. So your wife was also a Christian.
Well, she's same. She was in church growing up, and we both finally, when we got here to Tampa, we moved here in 2021. We finally we totally committed.
That's cool. What made you come to Champion City, the church that we both go to?
So my wife and I were stationed at CENTCOM down in McDill when we first met, and so it was a person that I was stationed with actually went to the church, and when we got here, we were looking for a church, and she just out of the blue from a LinkedIn message was like, hey, you guys are here, you looking for a church? We go to Champion City. I was like, cool. And we came, and when we went, we were just like, this is it.
Wow.
This is the church for us.
Man, that's so cool, man. Pastor Bruce is so awesome.
Yeah,
shout out to Pastor Bruce.
Yeah, shout out to Pastor Bruce.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah.
I hate standing next to both of them, though, because as you can see, he's like, what are you, 6'4"?
I'm 6'5", 260.
6'5", 260. Well, guess what? I'm 5'4", 210.
Watch out.
205.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm over 200, man. I ain't grow this way. I grew this
way.
All right, but I got big bones. But and I say, we're not going to discuss everything in terms of this. We're in a parent group.
Yeah.
Right? And in the parent group, we're like, all right, we're going to keep this between us, but we could talk about us, right?
Okay, yeah.
So, man, you're a father of 6. Mm-hmm. You know what? Before I get there, I want to get here because it's going to lead to that, lead to being a father. There is a lot of confusion of what it means to be a man. Mm-hmm. And there's many different definitions. I mean, I don't even want to go into what it means to be a woman. Right?
Yeah, I know. I thought it was one thing.
I know. But let's reverse that because that's been talked about. But what do you think it is to be a man?
That's deep.
Yeah,
and the reason it's deep is because man or father.
Let's go man first.
Okay,
but if it bleeds into that, that's why I wanted to start here. Before that.
So being a man to me is owning up to your responsibilities, your actions. I mean, just knowing yourself and seeking self-improvement. Like, you got to be honest with yourself. A lot of us walk around like, I'm a man, and then you know the deal, what you're dealing with. And it's okay because we're all dealing with something that we just got to know ourselves and seek self-improvement.
So from what I'm hearing is like one of the first things that you think of when you think of this is what it means to be a man is taking responsibility for the decisions you make.
Yes.
And that's big.
And if it's something to deal with it. If I can, really quick. I don't know if you knew this, but I'm not going to harp on this much because I said I wouldn't talk about this, but I am because I feel the need to. Yeah,
hey, go ahead.
I was a part of the Divine Nine. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's an African American Greek letter organization. I was in a fraternity.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was in it since 2012, and this year I denounced it.
Wow.
I did, and it was a hard decision, but it was something that God spoke to me and said you have to do. And the reason I know that is because different ways that it came to me that I had to leave. And it was a hard thing to do because of the nature of my fraternity. And I knew it was going to be hard. I knew it was going to be hard to talk to certain people, but I did what I was led to do, and I left. And that was a personal conviction. It's nothing to do with them, the fraternity, nothing to do with anything. I'm not disparaging or talking about that. It was just the obedience, because God said obedience is better than sacrifice. So I knew at that moment I had to leave that, and that was a man decision I had to make for my life.
Yeah.
And those are the type things, and the reason I say that, because some people may relate to that type of thing if they're in certain organizations. They know the pull and the bond it is, so to leave it, they would understand. Like, it was a decision a man had to make, and no one else could make it for me. So,
man, that's so good, bro, because you're giving me this story and this example, but that applies to so many different avenues and areas of our life of like, hey, maybe God's telling you to get out of a relationship. Maybe God's telling you to stop doing a certain thing, or stop drinking. Right. Or stop, hey, those friends that you've been hanging around with,
right.
like, you can love them from far, but you shouldn't be around them.
Right.
And so, like, in a Christian's life, and especially as a man, there's always going to be times where we got to make hard, tough decisions. Right. Now, being the man that we're called to be, we got to make those decisions.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. And I think of even David, right? Of like how he was mourning when God told him his son would die because of his consequences, right? But then the moment he died, everyone thought he was going to be worse, but he got up and he was like, let's go.
Let's do it.
Like it was nothing else that he could do, and he chose to, I got to lead this kingdom.
Right.
And it was like this switch. But I say all that to also kind of come here is that I've heard this saying before, a man, especially because in my way of like being a man is, I've heard these three things, being a provider, being the priest, and being the provider. Now, it's not as simple as just those things, because the priest is supposed to lead your family spiritually, right? So that means we need to have our relationship with God in check. Right? So many men, I'm about to get it.
I'm coming with you. I got you.
So many men want women to submit to them when they're not submitted to God.
Thank you. We talked about this in the children's group the other day. Remember when I was saying, like, I catch myself when I'm talking to my son. I'm like, you're not listening to me. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you think I don't know what I'm talking about? I'm way older than you. And then it convicts me. God's like, you think I don't know what I'm talking about? Are you listening to me? So you are so right. And that gets into the fatherhood husband realm. Yeah. Like, everything falls on you and me. I don't care what happens in your household. It is your fault. Because if you're not aligned with the father, like, how is your wife supposed to submit to you?
Well, first of all, I disagree with that.
Everybody.
My wife
this.
is gonna watch this.
Oh, my bad.
But I disagree.
I'm sorry, it's the truth. Like,
but as a man, I have this book called Extreme Ownership is down there. But it talks about that. It talks about like, we have to, if we're the leaders, right? God called men to be leaders. I think that's a part of priest, provider, protector, right?
That's correct.
To be a priest in your household, you need to be a leader. To be a provider, you need to be a leader. To be a protector, you need to be a leader.
Yes.
A leader is not going like this and being like, hey, this is a dictatorship. Do as I'm telling you to do. What did Jesus say a leader was? How did Jesus lead? He led by serving. So if we are not out serving our wife,
it's a problem.
It's a problem.
Talk to me.
Oh man, I hope my wife doesn't watch this one.
But it's edifying. This is the truth, though.
It really is, man. But more men don't understand this because I you know. You thought I brought you here for just guns. That's how I got you in. That's how I got you in. What happened? I started hanging around you a little bit more. I'm like, yo, this guy is wise. Yeah. I started listening a lot more to you. I'm like, yo, I want to listen to more what this guy has to say. And so, like, you know, the provider. And here's the thing about my wife works full time, right? Right. She probably even makes a little bit more money than me. So it's not like, oh, if you're not fully providing. Right. Like, first of all, we live in an economy where, like, most of us both have to work. Right. Most, right? But you still need to be providing. Right. You still need to be working. Right. You still need to be doing something to earn, to make a living for your wife and your kids. Even if your wife is working or whatever the case is, like, I just think that's important. And then the whole protecting. I don't know if
I may or may not have a few on me.
Let me just put that right now. Okay. I think I heard this saying before. You could try Jesus, but don't try me.
Don't try me.
I'm just playing. Okay, I'm just playing. But that is there. No, yeah. but here's the thing. It's more than just that.
It's more than just that.
It's protecting.
Prayer. It's covering them in prayer first.
Come on, that's protecting.
Like, I do that. So I made that a thing, right? I would wake up. I don't have any social media, anything. YouTube.
I try to find it too.
Right, yeah, I don't have.
I'm like, I gotta look up more stuff about this guy.
I don't, and it's for a reason. It comes back to the manhood thing. Like, I do have one child that does not live with me full time, my oldest daughter. And, you know, I don't want to be on social media doing this, doing that. And then my daughter sees this and she's like, left out. Oh man, why am I not a part of this? So I have to think of more than just myself. I have to think outside of, you know, oh, I just want to keep up with people. I don't really need to do that. I'm living life as I live it.
So one of the things that we were talking about is like what it means to be a man. Right. And again, I know I've already said this, but there's so many definitions. We've talked about priesthood. We talked about, you know, providing and priests and all that stuff. But let's take it a step further. What do you really think it means to be a man? And when I say that, we actually just talked about this, where you were like, I think we need to take responsibility.
Right.
Okay. Why do you think it's important for you to have a good relationship with God to be a good man?
Right. So I think it's because it's the model he left us, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. So you have a father, your husband, your children. You're setting an example for your children, right? And as a man, as a father, you can set the wrong example, you know, if you're not being led by God. You know what I mean? And then you have children that's under you. They see everything you do. Yes, they know everything about what you do in a day-to-day that other people don't see. So, you know, I think it's just super important because, like I said before, everything lies on us. I gotta stress that point because, you know, if anything's going wrong in the house, we have to. It comes on us, whether we're praying for our family. And I think that's what I was thinking I was alluding to earlier when I was saying I wake up every morning now and I used to go straight to my social media. That's what I was talking about. I mean, not social media, but to my phone because I don't have any social media. And I was speaking on the reason I didn't, but I would go to my phone like to check sports scores or checking what new crazy news is out there. But now I try to pray first because I want to cover my family. Because the protection, like we said, isn't just this. I have to cover my family in different ways. So, you know, this is just the physical way that I'm going to do. And I keep pointing here. Yes, I have a gun on me.
So, no, I'm glad you said that. Yeah. I'm sorry I cut you off, but that's what we were talking about. We were talking about protection and how protection is more about that. Yeah. It's protecting our family through prayer. Right?
Covering them. Yes.
And, man, that's so good. I knew it would come around.
Thank you.
But in case you don't know, the camera went out, and this is take 2, but it's all good because it's all good. We keep it real.
Not close enough.
I know. But I actually want to go deeper into that because I love that we were talking about protecting because it's also protecting our family's emotions,
Yes.
protecting them mentally,
Yep.
Again, protecting them physically as well.
Yes.
And I think that's another reason why men, and this is a knock on myself,
Right.
this is why men do need to be in the best physical shape that they should
Yes.
be. And that's me speaking to myself. I'm not in the best shape I could be in.
Right.
And so, but it's important.
Yes.
It's important, and my wife's probably laughing in the corner somewhere because she's just like, do you know what you just ate last night? Yes, I do know, dear. Okay.
Right.
And so that's something I got to work on. But again, I mean, we had already talked about, being the priest and how we need to grow our relationship with God. Mm-hmm. And the more closer we get with him, the more in love we fall with him, the more in love we're going to love our wife,
Yes.
the more in love we're going to love our kids. And we need to get this order. You just said an order, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. As men, we are called to serve God first.
Right.
Then our wife,
Yep.
then our children.
Then our children.
All right. I'm not saying that, all right, well, I have a baby, so the baby needs special attention, and we get all that. But you're not one flesh with your kids. Nope. You're one flesh with your wife.
With your wife.
And so, man, tell me a little bit about your marriage. Tell me, what is some good advice that you could even give me or even anyone watching, like what it takes to be a good man in a marriage?
Oh, I thought you wanted. Yeah, I was about to say I can't give no. Whoa, no, run, no. Honestly, first of all, in a marriage, I'll just tell you this, and I tell anybody this that asks, it's 60-40 with a relationship, and I say that because it's a sliding scale, right? Because one day it's 60 you, 40 her. The next day it may be her 60. 40 you. And the reason I say that is because we all are still human, right? So you may be today, you have an attitude, and you're just not giving in. So that's that day, maybe your wife has to take the low road, like, all right, let me give him some grace. You know what I mean?
That's the realest thing I've ever heard, because I'm going to tell you why that was the realest thing. Right when you said 60-40 in my head, I'm like, he's wrong. You're supposed to give 100. But whoever gives 100%.
And if you are, you could be giving 100 of negativity. Like, you don't want to give 100 of that.
And that might be the goal. The goal is for both to give 100.
Right.
That's the standard, right? But let's be realistic.
Right.
Yeah. If my wife hasn't had her coffee,
it might be your time. Right.
She's not going to be at 100.
Right. So you got to come and bring it up.
And if I don't have food in my system, I don't think I'm going to be 100.
Right.
Okay. But I mean, again, for men, and for this whole thing of like what it takes to be a man, it's priest, provider, protector, but in that it's taking responsibility.
Right.
It's doing what you need to do to, I think, first get close to God, to become a better man, so that you can become a better husband, a better father, a better friend, better everything.
Yes.
And so it kind of leads to this, is that, I mean, our relationship with God is extremely important. Mm-hmm. Like, that's number one. And we talked about our wife. Let's talk about children. Mm-hmm. All right. I have a 1-year-old and I have a 12-year-old. Right. 12-year-old's a girl, and my 1-year-old is a boy. Mm-hmm. You are a father of 6. We had a conversation before off camera, and you were talking about, man, I've seen it all. Different ages. What is some good advice that you can give to parents? Like, I mean, that's a wide, general question, but like, what do you like? What's something that you've learned that you think parents need to hear, need to know?
Gosh, I can go 100 places with this, but one, stay surrendered to God. You have to stay prayed up, stay, have faith, but you have to listen. Growing up the way, in a lot of black families, I'm from Virginia, so it's not all the way to South, but, you would get corrected in a way that may hurt a little bit. You know what I mean? So you would think of that when you first start out, like, this is what happened to me. This is what I need to do to keep my kids in line. Well, sometimes all kids aren't the same. We have to remember that. Yeah. They're not cookie cutter. All kids learn the same way. They don't all get everything the same way. So you got to kind of know your children. That's number one. You know them, understand them, and know that they're little humans. Like my wife says, they're little humans. Yeah. They got feelings. They have legitimate stuff. You can't always be like, oh, just do it because I said so. Yeah. That's cool. But they're still like, well, I don't understand. Like, Like they really may not understand. So we just have to take the time to know our children and listen to them. You know,
Man, that's so good, man. I used to hate it when my mom would be like, "Cause I said so."
right?
But
I got a
why you
question.
say so? Like, I got questions.
And then I'm
here.
arguing at the wall in her direction. You know what I mean?
I know. And then when you're a parent, finally, you're like,
Right.
did I just, bro? Sometimes I'd be feeling like I think it's that Geico commercial or like Allstate commercial. It was just like, we can save you with car insurance, but we
Right.
can't save you from being just like your parents.
Can't save you from being like your parents, right?
Yo, that straight up
Yeah.
happens to me, man. But okay, so understanding,
Yeah.
or you're saying to really try to understand.
Have the conversation. Be open. I have a 23, 18, 15, 14, 7, and 9 and 7. 2 girls, 4 boys. So my oldest, he's a Marine. He's 23. My 18-year-old's going in the Marine Corps now. So I've had to have conversations with these boys that, some of them I wasn't ready for. I'm like, wait, I don't want to do, but I have to talk about this.
Yeah.
We have to be open so they can come to you and be completely honest with you. I've had times I missed the mark, you know what I mean? Because I'm sure my kids, I'm not sure, they have come to me and say, Dad, this really made me feel this kind of way. And you got to eat that, take it on the chin, and then reevaluate yourself and be like, let me do this better next time,
Absolutely.
Right.
And I bet those conversations were different with your girls.
Yeah, because I got a teenage girl now, 9th grade. Yeah, so
Mine's in 7th.
so that's one thing I haven't went through yet. So you know what I mean. I'm getting to that part, but I'm gonna meet that head on as well.
Absolutely,
as
man.
a father. Yeah,
I think I think it's also just simply remembering that they're children of God,
Right.
But also that they're broken just like us,
Right.
And man, it's so important that we give the grace that we want
right,
the grace for,
right.
And to me, and I joke around with my wife about this, but then I'm also a little bit serious about it. Of like, man, I have a son. And I gotta man this dude up. I gotta that's like my
Right.
mentality,
I get
right?
it.
Like
Yep.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm still gonna teach him how to fight,
Right,
and
right.
I'm gonna play. Hopefully, he loves sports and
Right.
all of that. But I think with men, especially, and it slides into the next thing, especially with boys and all that, is I think it's hard for men to be vulnerable.
Yeah,
But also, because I think we've been hurt, and maybe we've been in relationships where maybe we were vulnerable and it backfired. What do you think? Why do you think it's important for a man to be vulnerable?
just to show that this is real. You know what I mean? We're full of emotions. We got to be honest about that. Some of the men I've seen are some of the most full of emotion people I've seen, you know. And but we're around other people, we got to alpha it up, like, no,
Yeah.
I'm good, but you're not good though. You know what I mean? So like iron sharpens iron. Me and you having the conversations we had before the mic's on, that's real. That's
Yeah.
being open and saying, hey man, I'm hurting too. I got this thing that now that you opened up about it, I can open up about it. Like,
Yeah.
we're human. At the end of the day, a lot of times people put on this facade of I'm this thing, but you're really hiding behind that thing. It's okay. It's okay to be not okay.
Yeah,
it's
man,
just
that's
keep
okay.
going. You know what I'm saying? Don't stop.
And also getting the help that you need.
Get the help you need,
Like,
man.
I think, so I've been on the YouTube sphere, right? And I've seen all this stuff.
Right.
I'm very conservative.
Okay.
All right. But there's this new wave, because the term the left has gone crazy, like the crazy far left.
Right.
A lot of craziness going on there, right? I ain't gonna even get into all that. But now that a couple years ago, there's this new thing about the red pill. Have you ever heard about this term? The red pill is like these men that are like super masculine, and they have a lot of great content, right? They bring up real concerns that men have, but their diagnosis is off.
Okay.
So they'll be like, "Yo, it's harder for men." They'll be like, "The statistics show that young men are probably in the worse shape than any other." Right.
Right.
They go through we're the most incarcerated, the most likely to be killed, the most all of these things. Right.
Right.
Men are forgotten a lot in this generation. we actually saw that a lot. And I'm not going to get too far into it, but like the election, the left spent no time talking to young men, no time.
Right.
And so when they saw a big percentage of young men vote for, the Republican side, it's because they were talking to them.
Right.
And so a lot of the young men feel like we're being left out. But the people who are not leaving them out are these people on the red pill, like the Matrix.
I got you.
And so I don't agree with how because they're like, man, sleep with as much women,
Right.
and but they're like, man, you need to be in shape, you need to make money,
right.
buy your Lambos, and
They're missing
and so I get what they're trying to do,
Right.
But their diagnosis
is
off. But I get why, because you can get a far left, you're gonna get a far right.
Right.
It's just the opposites.
Right, in the
right.
spectrum, yeah.
And so that's what's been going on lately, and it's attracting a lot of our young men. And so, and a part of this is like, man, don't go to counseling, just man up.
Man up.
Depression isn't real.
I've heard that.
It's
Yeah.
only in your mind, and I understand where they're coming from because it's a mindset and all that. But at the same time, like, yeah, this is real, and it's okay
Right.
to get counseling. It's okay. There's too many young men out there who is mentally struggling, and they're covering up by trying to act all macho, and they're only digging themselves deeper and deeper and deeper. So I say all of that to say, man, it is important for men to be vulnerable.
Yes.
But I also think it's important to know the limits of our vulnerability. And who we are vulnerable to.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I agree. And who you're listening to, like you said, like it's extremely important to be vulnerable, especially if you're dealing with something. I've had many Marines that were close to literally eating a bullet that I don't want to say I talked off that ledge, but they were had confidence to talk to me, and they didn't go that route.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. It's like telling somebody, "Oh, I got cancer." Well, man up, you'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? Just drink some rice vinegar or something. Like, no, it don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? That's a real thing. Same thing as...
Put some Vicks on
right,
it.
That's what I'm saying. Some Pepto-Bismol. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. You need help. So I think it's we should be vulnerable, and we do have to be careful who's getting in our psyche, who we're listening to, what men are in our life. And I was just telling my wife this the other day. That's why it's good to have somebody that is pouring into you and somebody that you're pouring into. So the accountability spectrum there. So, but you got to be careful who that is, because you don't want to be taking advice or counsel from somebody who's just full of,
Yeah, no, I think that's so true, man. And it's funny. I brought him on because I wanted to talk about guns, but the more I started talking with him, the more I realized how much more he could bring to the table. Yeah. And that's why I wanted to talk about vulnerability. Why I wanted to talk about families and all of that stuff.
Right.
Because, man, I respect you, man. I respect you fully. And I don't know if you want me to say this, but no. So we were talking, right? Yeah. And I'm gonna be vulnerable, right? Because this is a good space for me to be this way. We were talking earlier about like how you felt when you first met me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's get into that.
Okay. Sure.
So, and before you say why, actually go ahead and say it, but don't finish it. When we first met, what vibe did you get from me?
So I don't want to say it wrong, but not judgy. That's the wrong word. I just was like, he's like looking at me like he knows I'm like not right. Like I'm like, cause I was still drinking at the time and stuff, but I was getting into the church and I was like, he knows. Like he keeps looking at me like this dude. You know what I mean?
So you know what's so funny? Like when he made that look, like there's something. Really, if you really go back and look at it, it was more like, hey, what's up, man?
He was looking up.
How you doing, man? So if you think about it, I've been looking up to you this whole time.
Hey.
No, but so for me, because I was a pastor for 5 years,
right.
I had all this expectation on me. I had so many people coming to me, and I even though I was internally struggling, and I talk about that, I think in my second episode, and you want to go check that out, go watch it. But I was struggling. I would say I was struggling with porn. I'm still battling it now, but I've been a couple months clean. I'm still struggling with the whole vaping thing. And that's an everyday battle that I'm still facing. And there are some other things. I still get really angry sometimes. Me and my wife, we go at it at times. And I'm not going to get too far into that, but at the same time, like I'm not perfect. And there's some things I'm working on. I'm going to counseling right now.
Right.
And I just went to counseling a couple days ago. And I don't say that to brag. I say that because I know I need help.
it's something I wanted to say. If I can say it right
Go
here,
ahead.
it's a good segue for it. When he just said he's still struggling with things, there's something that just hit me. Like, and I have to say this. A lot of people think when they come to God, they come to Christ, it's like everything stops. That is so far from the truth. And I want people to know it's just and people think, oh, well, if I do come, I can't do this anymore. I can't do that. It's not that. It's come have a relationship with Jesus. Those things will eventually leave. You won't want to do it. So he just said come. He didn't say do anything special. He didn't say stop drinking, stop going out, stop doing whatever it is you do, because eventually it will peel away.
Absolutely.
And I want people to know that. I think a lot of people, that's what they think, like, oh gosh, when I do that, I gotta stop. People are still struggling with things.
Yeah.
The salvation comes, then the sanctification comes, then the consecration.
It's not the opposite.
It's not the opposite.
You know,
just
we don't work to be saved.
Right.
I just think that it's becoming harder for men to, number one, have good role models, good leaders.
Right.
But also of like, you know, who do we go for to help? And I think it's important for men, especially, let's just talk about men. It's important that if we need counseling, go to counseling, you know, but here's the thing, not every counselor is right for you. You might have to shop around a little bit, find the right one, and whatever it is, because, you know, we work out, we do this, we eat healthy, like, hey, go to counseling and work on this, you know, and I think that's important for men because, you know, and I love, and Dad, if you watch this, I love you, Dad. You are the man. My dad helped me, like, he shows love through service, right?
Okay.
But here's the thing. I'm gonna point you out, Dad. Not in a bad way. I've never seen my dad cry, and like that's done something to me of like I've never seen my father cry.
Right.
And my wife complains at me like I barely ever see you cry. It's like, and here's the thing: I'm not embarrassed to cry. I'm not a crier.
You're not a crier.
I wish I could though.
Right.
You know, like I've cried before and during worship to myself, and it felt good. But like, I just don't be crying. You know what I'm saying? But
my wife's like that.
Yeah.
And I think I see her cry like once. And it's crazy because she's a woman. You think that my wife's just built different. She's just like she's just, you know, when we got married, I think she's like some dust flew in her eye or something. Like, yeah, whatever, just cry. But no, honestly, she just is just different with her. But I know how her emotion comes. But, you know, that's crazy. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's true. That's true. And I say this, I get, especially my dad comes from a more older generation, that it's hard for men to be vulnerable. It's hard for men to open up. Yeah. And I think you even said it. It's finding the right person, getting the help you need. And I think when you do that, I think obviously, again, it starts with a good relationship with God. It starts with putting other godly men in your life. Right. And man, and making sure that you're in a good environment, you know, and all that. Safe and I think space, that's so important. But I say all and I say that, and it kind of leads me to, we're going to be bringing it down.
Okay.
If you wanted to give some advice, right, of a young man, or even my age, you know, 20, 30s. Though I hope I look 20-ish. I'm 33 now.
Are you 33?
Yeah, I'm 33.
You know how old I am?
No.
You don't? How old do you think I am?
I thought you were like 40.
Yeah, 43. Yeah.
I was close.
Yeah, close.
I was close. Yeah, it's the gray hairs, man.
I know, right?
As soon as I saw the gray, I was like, he has to at least be 40. At least be 40. But you look good.
Thank you. I'll be 44 December 5th. So,
yeah.
Coming up.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
He getting old. No, he not. No, he not, man. No, he not. But no, man. But I wanted to talk about like what's some good advice, because you know we're kind of bringing the whole like what is a man, right? What's another thing, something else that men are struggling with that they need help in?
Man, I don't. Right now, I can't even. I think we touch most of it, but. Yeah, I can go on for days because this generation is touched with stuff we weren't touched with, especially with the whole
social media.
Yeah. It's different. This life is not what it seems. But I think one thing I can give them is to put God first in your life. You have to do that because nothing else works. Like talking to my own sons, you know, with relationships and girls and this and that. I'm like, you know, God told us to go get a wife, you know, and I'm just being honest, you know. So if you have a girlfriend or whatever, you start there to get a fiance and everything like that. But like, if you're not putting God first, like it's gonna be a hard path for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because if you're not living that way, so I would say at least start there. And like I said, when you come to him, it's not like everything drops.
Yep.
It's just you're starting, and if you keep him first and you pray and you stay diligent to that, it'll work out.
You know what? I wanna touch on this.
Okay.
You've been married for 11 years.
Yes.
How do you resolve conflict?
That came with years, right? Because I mean, it was
Why do you think I'm asking?
Oh yeah. Because like I said, 60-40, right?
Yeah.
But no, at the beginning, it was times, you know, being married, you're gonna have your moments. You're not
Absolutely.
exempt from that. Not in the marriage. Everybody knows that. But then once you have this common goal, you kind of know you're together. You're not leaving each other. This is gonna be a thing. You kind of learn how to. One, I've learned not to always want to be right. Just be righteous, because sometimes that was a problem.
Hold on, that's a bar.
Yeah, that's a bar.
That's a bar
man.
right there. Don't try to be right. Just try to be righteous.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, because that right there is a hard one, right? Because it's like, I'm that type of person. Like, I know what I'm talking about. Like, you don't.
Like, I'm right.
I know what
just
I'm
concede it.
Right. Just because. But sometimes it's not about that. It's like you said, service. Sometimes just like, all right, is this really worth it right now? Is it really worth to prove a point? Because you're just gonna go down this road.
When is it worth to prove a point?
I mean, it's the time and place for everything. That's what the good. But sometimes that ain't the time or place, because you're gonna find yourself in trouble. So, you know, it's just learning to have a different way of, because usually that's what it comes down to. You're pressing an issue that most of the time is small, that turns into something else, and then you're going with it. And you don't want to let it go. You're like, for what?
true.
Why are you? What's the pride thing? What is it that's not letting you let it go? So now I've just learned, like, I don't really want to argue. Like, I don't want to get to that spot, because I don't like the feeling after. Because as soon as you're done, then you're like, this is awkward. You know what I'm saying? This is awkward.
We're stuck here.
Yeah. So I don't want to be there. So, but it'll still happen from time to time. But you know, you just get better, and once you know, like, that you both have a common goal, like, it happens less and less. You know.
Okay.
But we could have this conversation all day, because we both, like I said, I have a blended family. You know what I'm saying? I obviously have older kids. That thing brings its own challenges, you know, and things come. But like we could talk for hours. But
I know.
You know.
Oh, and guess what? Kenny will be back. All right?
I'll come back.
Before we end it, like, where can people find you? Do you have a YouTube channel? I know you don't got social media, but
I do have my card. It's an e-card, so I don't know if you can put that on the video at the end or something. But
I can put in. Is it like something I can put in the descriptions?
Yeah, you can put in the description.
I'll
on
pop
e-card.
in the descriptions, because he don't got social media, because again, he's old. I'm just playing. He gave a reason for that.
I don't, like I said, we don't have the brick and mortar store right now, so I don't like to do a whole lot of business out of my house, because that's where I have to sell the guns from. But I can online if someone wants to buy it. You know, I mentioned a gun in one of my YouTube videos, and some guy from North Carolina called me and he wanted it, and I shipped it out to him. I have it right to you, so he'll put it in the descriptions. And if you want to buy something,
I know I'm going to be buying something soon.
Absolutely, let me know.
It's probably going to be after the holidays, because all my extra money is going to, like, presents and stuff.
Glocktober's over, so I just did my Glocktober bill. I won't show it to everybody.
Nah, you can.
Oh yeah, so this was my. I don't know if you can get a visual on that. That's a G45. I put some blue accents on it. Old lights, pretty nice, but yeah.
You know what's so cool about that gun? Is just before we were on the podcast, he said he was going to gift that to me for Christmas.
I did not.
I'm just messing.
Maybe give him some boxes of ammo for having me on. How's that?
That would be cool. That would be awesome, because I'm running low.
So he can go to the range.
So I'm going to leave his stuff in the description. All right. So we are about to close. Where can people find you? You know, if they want to buy one.
Yeah. So like I said, I'll give you my information. I'll send it to you, and you can put it out there. Like I said, I can ship to anywhere in the United States. You know, you go on. There's a website. It's a distributor that I use, Davidson's Inc. It won't show you the price on there because I'm a dealer, but you just contact me through the email or whatever. And if you need something at a good price, call me, because I'm not trying to make money off of people.
Yeah, man. So. He be giving some really good prices. Yeah. Trust me, I know. I can concur. I've been wanting to say that word for a while.
There you go.
I was gonna say, what is your YouTube channel called?
Oh, so I sent that to you as well if you want to put it out there. I mean, it's a very small channel, nothing. I talk about family stuff, gun stuff, and I don't make a lot of content, but it's Mozambique Drill. That's the
Okay.
name of it. And if you know what the Mozambique drill is, then you can look that up or Google it and find out
I'm
what that
kind of
means.
interested to know.
Yeah, Google it. Google it later.
I'm gonna Google that. Okay.
Yeah.
So to everyone watching, I hope some part of this conversation helped you in any way take your next step, because we believe here that close enough is not close enough when it comes to your relationship with Jesus. And I want to let you know that even the smallest step in the right direction is still a step in the right direction. And so I pray that, our conversation help you take a step. And so I'm looking forward to bringing you back on, talking about so much more stuff.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be good. He's going to be a regular. Okay. And so I'm looking forward to that, man. Hey, I love you, bro.
I love you,
and any final words you want to say?
No, I'm good. Hey, if you carry it all the time. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, hey, next time you see me, I'm going to be strapped. All right, well, I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video. God bless and take care.
Let's go and get straight to it. My God is the best. His name is Yahweh. I advise you to check. Yeah, my God is certified, glorified. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. Just giving your life. Yeah, and you know the truth. Yeah, my God is 100 proof. Yeah.